There is one big concept that I'm going to teach you in this video that will apply to literally any matchup that you play, and that is short trading versus long trading. When do we want to take quick trades or when do we want to extend them for a long time? And the level 1 answer to this question is going to be based on your champion's identity, but most of the time you can identify that from the rune that the champion is taking. So if you're playing a champion like Darius, who always has Conqueror, or a champion like Warwick, that always have lethal tempo, you know these champions love to take extended trades. But how about the opposite? A champion like Jax, who normally takes Grasp, loves short trades, or a champion like Malphite, who will take Comet or Grasp. These are short trading runes, so you need to split them into two categories of long trading or short trading champions, but a lot of the time the rune will give them away. Now the next step to this is identifying the champions that fit into both categories. So the best example would be a Mordekaiser. He's great at short trading, you can just EQ and click away, not take any damage in response, or you can take an extended trade and abuse your passive. So if you verse a champion like Garen, you would definitely want to take a long trade, chase him down the lane, make it volatile, and beat them down. But if you verse a champion like Darius, you want the opposite, you want to take a short trade, and he wants an extended one. So I have two examples here of myself playing the exact same champion, but in two different matchups to help showcase the differences. Right here up against Cassandra, I really want to take short trades, which is why I'm ending my trade in CC and disengaging straight away, and then just looking to hit him on the head with my Sheen and W and run away. A really good tip for taking short trades is exactly what you just saw, ending your trade in CC, whether that be a Jax E or a Garen Q. Don't let them hit you back as you've already disengaged after the stun, like I'm trying to do in this matchup. So we can see I'm stunning, disengaging, and not letting him take the trade for a long time, and then looking to whittle him down while his spells are on cooldown. You'll see very shortly I'm going to go for another W and Sheen proc, make it really hard for him to force a long trade onto me while I'm still looking for little trades myself, but I'm playing around my cooldowns. I'm baiting out his Q and then walking in when it's on cooldown, and now you can see I've laid the groundwork. I've got him low enough that I can look for an all-in very shortly, one more W, one more short trade and disengage, and now I'm ready to punish him because I've laid down the foundation from all my nice short trades that I can finally go in and burst him. If I did this exact same play 30 seconds ago before my short trades, he would have completely destroyed me. But now for this example, Jackson to Yone, if we compare it to the previous one, I want to take much longer trades than before. The reason for that, even though I'm playing the exact same champion with the same rune setup, Jax is the champion that can do both, just like we're talking about before with Mordekaiser, as you can utilize your passive, and the matchup is a lot better for me. The Cassandra one, if it goes for a long time, I get beat down because my E doesn't work that well into him, but up against Yone, that's not the case. So as long as I get my E up during this long trade, you can see I'm gonna win the all-in the end. The jungle did ruin our fun, but you can see the value of knowing when to long trade and knowing when to short trade, depending on the champions that you're playing and the matchup that you're in. Now, the number one rule you can follow to really help you master this skill is pre-decide if you want to be taking short trades or long trades before the game even begins. And if you're unsure which one you want to be taking depending on the matchup, pay close attention to the runes. If one player has a Conqueror or Lethal Tempo, a long trading rune, and the other one has a short trading like Vomit or Electrocute or even Grasp, then you should probably be able to visualize how the trade should be looking. But if you are in that grey area, like the Jax vs Yone matchup we covered, you might need to think about how a long trade would run. If I took a long trade versus Cassandra, I would get stunned forever, Q3, beat up, maybe even push into tower, but a short trade that I end in my stun duration can go a lot better for me, so try to think more about it in detail. But if you're ever unsure, fall back to your champion's identity and the identity of the rune that you're taking.